Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn the two topics, that is statutory corporations and government companies. So let's start with statutory corporations. Statutory corporations are public enterprises brought into existence by a special act of the Parliament. The act defines its powers and functions, rules and regulations governing its employees and its relationship with government departments. This is a corporate body created by the legislature with defined powers and functions and is financially independent with a clear control over a specified area or a particular type of commercial activity. It is a corporate person and has the capacity of acting in own name. Statutory corporations therefore have the power of the government and considerable amount of operating flexibility of private enterprises. For example, Food Corporation of India and Life Insurance Corporation of India. Let's see its features. Statutory corporations are set up under an Act of Parliament and are governed by the provisions of the Act. The Act defines the objects, powers, and privileges of a statutory corporation. Second point, this type of organization is wholly owned by the state. The government has the ultimate financial responsibility and has the power to appropriate its profits. At the same time, the state also has to bear the losses, if any. Third point, a statutory corporation is a body corporate and can sue and be sued either into contract and acquire property in its own name. Fourth point, this type of enterprise is usually independently financed. It obtains funds by borrowing from the government or from the public through revenues derived from sale of goods and services. It has the authority to use its revenues. Fifth point, a statutory corporation is not subject to the same accounting and audit procedure applicable to government departments. It also not concerned with the central budget of the government. Sixth point, the employees of the enterprise are not government or civil servants and are not governed by the government rules and regulations. The conditions of service of the employees are governed by the provisions of the Act itself. At times, some officers are taken from government departments on deputation to head these organizations. For example, DTC. Let's see its merits. First point, they enjoy independence in their functioning and a high degree of operational flexibility. They are free from undesirable government regulations and control. Second, since the fund of these organizations do not come from the central budget, the government generally does not interfere in their financial matters, including their income and receipts. Third point, since they are autonomous organization, they frame their own policies and procedures within the powers assigned to them by the Act. The Act may, however, provide few issues oblique matters which require prior approval of a particular ministry. Fourth point, a statutory corporation is a valuable instrument for economic development. It has the power of the government combined with the initiative of private enterprise. Now let's see its limitations. First point, in reality, a statutory corporation does not enjoy as much operational flexibility as stated above. All actions are subject to many rules and regulations. Second point, government and political interference has always been there in major decisions or where huge funds are involved. Third point, where there is dealing with public, rampant corruption exists. Fourth point, the government has a practice of appointing advisors to the corporation board. This curbs the freedom of the corporation in entering into contracts and other decisions. If there is any disagreement, the matter is referred to the government for final decisions. This further delays action. So students, these are few examples of public enterprises like in departmental undertakings, post and telegraph, railways, All India Radio, Doordarshan and ordnance factories, etc. In statutory corporation, Food Corporation of India, Industrial Finance Corporation of India, Life Insurance Corporation of India, Unit Trust of India, State Trading Corporations. And in government company, examples are Hindustan Machine Tools Limited, Steel Authority of India Limited, Hindustan Shipyard Limited. So let's start with the government company. This is our second topic, and these are some examples and logos of the government companies. A government company is established under the Companies Act 2013 and is registered and governed by the provisions of the Act. These are established for purely business purpose, in true spirit compete with companies in the private sector. According to the section 245 of the Companies Act 2013, a government company means any company in which not less than 51% of the paid up capital is held by the central government or by any state government, or partly by central government and partly by one or more state government, and includes a company which is a subsidiary of a government company. Under the Companies Act 2013, there is no change in the definition of a company. All provisions of the Act are applicable to government companies unless otherwise specified. A government company may be formed as a private limited company or a public limited company. There are certain provisions which are applicable to the appointment, retirement of directors and other managerial personnel. The shares of the company are purchased in the name of the President of India, since the government is the major shareholder, and exercise control over the management of these companies. They are known as government companies. Now see its features. First point, it is an organization created under the Companies Act 2013 or any other previous company law. Second, the company can file a suit in a court of law against any third party and be sued. Third point, the company can enter into a contract and can acquire property in its own name. Fourth, the management of the company is regulated by the provisions of the Companies Act like any other public limited company. Fifth, the employees of the company are appointed according to their own rules and regulations as contained in the Memorandum and Articles of Association of the company. The Memorandum and Articles of Associations are the main document of the company containing the objects of the company and its rules and regulations. Sixth point, these companies are exempted from the accounting and audit rules and procedures. An auditor is appointed by the central government and the annual report is to be presented in the parliament or the state legislature. Seventh point, the government company obtains its funds from government shareholdings and other private shareholders. It is also permitted to raise funds from the capital market. Now let's see its merits. First point, a government company can be established by fulfilling the requirements of the Indian Companies Act. A separate act in the parliament is not required. Second point, it has a separate legal entity apart from the government. Third point, it enjoys autonomy in all management decision and takes action according to the business prudence. Fourth, these companies, by providing goods and services at reasonable prices, are able to control the market and curb unhealthy business practices. Now its limitations. Since the government is the only shareholder in some of the companies, the provisions of the Companies Act does not have much relevance. Second point, it evades constitutional responsibility which a company financed by the government should have. It is not answerable directly to the parliament. And third point, the government being the sole shareholder, the management and administration rest in the hands of the government. The main purpose of a government company registered like other companies is defeated. So these are the merits and limitations. Thank you, students. Thanks for watching.